Hello my dear students. So in this video we shall discuss about the euglenoids, slime molds and about the kingdom fungi. So in the kingdom Protista we have understood that there are subgroups like dinoflagellates, chrysophytes, then slime molds, euglenoids, then protozoans. These are subcategories comes under this kingdom Protista. Okay, so the last video we have understood what are these chrysophytes, what are dinoflagellates, right? So in which category we can see the diatomaceous earth? Is it in chrysophytes or dinoflagellates? Yes, it is. And in the chrysophytes, they form the diatomaceous earth, and dinoflagellates cause red tides. You can expect some tricky questions like this from this. Okay, an algal bloom, all those, no, you will confuse from where, in which class we have studied all those. So in the class means which category of, or in which organisms we have studied all those. So likewise, so I'll give you a short one trick to remember these chrysophytes, dinoflagellates. Chrysophytes cause the diatomaceous earth. Okay, so in the chrysophytes it comes diatoms. So diatoms, diatomaceous earth. So like that you remember. And in the dinoflagellates, red tides, because D sounds more there. So D. That means red tides, dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates cause red tides. And their characteristic features: two flagella, one longitudinally, one in transversely, and there will be a furrow will be there in the two cell plates. Okay, there will be furrow will be seen in between that two flagella. And then let us move on to the next type. It is euglenoids. You heard of euglena? You might have drawn the diagram of euglena in your earlier class, right? So this we are going to study about that euglena itself. Together it is known as euglenoids. That group is called as euglenoids. And remember, among this kingdom Protista, no, this is these euglenoids are found only in fresh water. So remember like that. You cannot write. If you write that it is found in marine water and all, it will go wrong. Your answer will go wrong. So always remember, only in the kingdom Protista, euglenoids found only in the fresh water. Okay, they are very pure. They are very, we can say that they are found only in a good water. So that's what euglenoids found in fresh water. Most of them can be seen in fresh water. Then, and mainly it is found in stagnant water where it is collected. Okay, so for this, related to this, you also will study in your second year practical, where you will understand what are the living organisms found in the water. So if you collect the water sample from any stagnant water where the water is collected, from there you can see euglena. Euglena is very commonly can be seen in that type of water sample. So it is found in stagnant water. Now if you look at the structure of euglena, it looks like very flexible, right? It looks like very flexible. That flexibility is due to their cell wall. Okay, their peculiarity is that they do not have the cell wall. Okay, that cell wall is not stiff. The cell wall is made up of, here it is made up of a protein rich layer which is called as pellicle. What is it is called as pellicle? The cell, instead of cell wall, it has a protein rich layer called as pellicle, so that the body is flexible. Is it? Protein, if you look at the protein nature, if you look at some of the protein sample, for example, in lab and all, we used to take the protein sample as egg albumin. Egg albumin is very flexible, is not stiff. Okay, it's flexible because it's completely protein. So protein always gives a flexibility. So here in the euglena also, the cell wall is flexible due to the protein rich layer which is called as pellicle. Underline that. Okay, what is pellicle? It is a cell wall. It is a outer protective wall of the euglena which is made up of protein layer. Okay, it is a protein layer found in the euglena which makes its body flexible. Next, okay, understood about this. So we'll go study about their nature of nutrition. Okay, a very peculiar nature is that they can behave plant as a autotroph, as a as well as heterotrophs. So we can also that they can be they can behave as well as plant as well as animals. Okay, that's why in the kingdom Protista we can say that it may be photosynthetic protestant to one biologist, may be a plant to another. Okay, so actually the boundaries of this kingdom are not well defined. So that is what. So there is no boundary for this kingdom. In the kingdom Protista, in the introduction itself, it is given that boundaries of the kingdom Protista are not well defined. Okay, some of them can be photosynthetic protestant, some of them heterotrophs. So that's why it's unlike of other group where you will study about the animals and plants, where peculiarly they will be found like this only. They will be either behave as plant or animal. But these protestants have the mixed characters. So these, in the presence of light, they can act as a photosynthetic. Okay, they can, in the presence of light, they can synthesize their own food and they can be called as photosynthetic autotrophs. But in the absence of light, they can behave as heterotrophs. How they behave as heterotrophs? By predating on small organisms. I told you already it's found in stagnant water, right? So small organisms can be there floating on the, will be there in the water. So those organisms will be a food for this euglena. If that way it is consuming its food and it is a way of mode of nutrition, at that time it will behave as a heterotrophs. Okay, this is a peculiar nature of this euglena. Okay, you can see the structure of euglena and they are having the flagella. Then next we'll understand about the slime molds, next category under the kingdom Protista. Slime molds, we say that it is a fungi, it's a behave as a fungi. You can see these slime molds in some of the thick trees. Okay, suppose if you visit an area having so many trees or which have a thick dense forest or almost have a good vegetation where moist condition is good, where the moist is more, then in that places if you go and watch the tree trunk, you can see yellow structures. Okay, yellow structures. Okay, yellow structure in the sense yellow, somewhat no definite shape won't be there. It may look like some mushroom or like that, it may appear to your eyes, but actually it is not mushroom or fungi. It is a slime molds. It is a slime molds. We cannot correctly keep under the fungi also because it's not completely a fungus. ಸೊ ಸ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮೌಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ, ಇದು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರು ಮರ ಅಥವಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮರದ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಆ ಮರದ ಮೇಲೊಂದು ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ ಕಲರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣದ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಹರಡಿಕೊಂಡ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ನೇಚರ್, ಅದೇ ಸ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮೌಲ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸರೌಂಡಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮೌಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ we call it as saprophytic protist. What it is called as? It is called as saprophytic protist. What's the meaning of saprophyte? Saprophyte means the organisms which depend on the dead organic matter for their food. Okay, so saprophytic means which live on dead organic matter. So what is saprophytic protist? They are the group of organisms which lives on the dead organic matter, which we call it as saprophytic protist. Slime molds. Slime molds are called as saprophytic. See, idu. So it comes under Protista. It comes under kingdom Protista, but it acts as a saprophytic. So far, whichever the group you have studied, and there you have not studied, they are saprophytic, but they are. Here it is completely saprophytic. In slime molds, it's not always. Okay, but here almost always it is plus saprophytic protist. That means it lives on dead organic matter. Then another feature is that it forms a plasmodium. Okay, plasmodium which forms an huge aggregates. We require a diagram for this. So we will draw the diagram for this. First, this slime molds, once it get matured, it starts to produce this mass aggregates of plasmodium. Okay, so it is a you can see here, plasmodium is a huge aggregation which may grow and spread over several feet. Okay, it will spread to the large area. So that is the slime molds. It is plasmodium. Plasmodium is formed in the group of slime molds. So what are they? They are the structures which are produced during the life cycle of a plasmodium. So usually the plasmodium will be slime molds will be in this form. Okay, so slime molds will be in this form. Once it get matured, it is start to form the large mass of cells which covers a large area. Okay, so we are discussing about life cycle of plasmodium. So this is how it get mature. Once it get matured, they forms a plasmodium. What is this plasmodium? It is huge aggregation of mass which grow and spread over large area or in the several feet. Then from this plasmodium, okay, they form. See, comes under a group of fungus. It's almost behave like say fungus. Fungus reproduces by the formation of spores. Similarly, this plasmodium start to produce the spores. Okay, so from this, a young sporangium will be start to develop. This young sporangium, don't worry if you can't understand sporangium, what is this, all those terms. Anyhow, you are going to study the fungus in detail. The group kingdom fungi we are going to study in detail. So by that time you will understand more. So that fruiting bodies will be in this form from the which is produced in the slime molds. It is a stalk. It's a stalk. Okay, this contains spores in it. The spores are present in this region. So what is this sporangium? This is a mature sporangium. This is a mature sporangium. Then these spores will undergo meiosis and produces the spores. And these spores, when it fuses with the another cell with the male gamete, they forms zygote, and zygote undergoes mitosis, and again it forms a feeding plasmodium. Or this is about the life cycle of slime molds. Okay, so we call it as feeding plasmodium. Actually, it is produced by the slime molds. Even slime molds also will appear like in this shape itself. In this form only it will appear. So, in the life cycle of slime molds, once they get matured, okay, so they start to produce this plasmodium. This is a young plasmodium. Once it starts to mature, they spreads and forms a large mass, and which grow and covers several feet. From this, a young sporangium will be formed, in which it contains a head-like structure in which spores are present. And this young sporangium then later develops into a mature sporangium in which spores are situated. And these spores, once they undergo completely developed, they undergoes meiosis and produces the spores. And these spores then fuses and forms the zygote. This zygote undergoes mitosis, and again it forms slime molds. It forms again a new slime molds. Even though this content is not there in your textbook, I have added this to make you clear about the life cycle of these slime molds. Okay. Hope you got clear about the slime molds. So this about the slime molds. So slime molds called as saprophytic protist. Then they lives on, why it is called a saprophytic protist? Because they lives on dead organic matter and they forms plasmodium. Once they mature and starts to develop, they produce. That is how they will complete their life cycle. How they will produce the next generation, we are going to study in this content. So plasmodium, this is a mature plasmodium. This mature plasmodium is formed from these slime molds, which forms a huge aggregation and grow and spread over several feet. Then under this plasmodium, okay, will remain as such. Okay, they'll under when unfavorable condition, that means conditions are not favorable to this plasmodium starts to differentiates and forms the, what it forms? It forms the fruiting bodies, and these fruiting bodies will have the spores at their tip, and these spores then complete the life cycle by fusing with another male gamete with the spores. They forms zygote, then undergoes mitosis and forms a new generation. Okay, so this another feature of these spores, the spores which are produced from these slime molds, they are having a true cell wall. Okay, so that in this area, if you see that slime molds, even though they belongs to the unicellular eukaryotes, they started to develop in their reproduction aspect. See, they possess true walls. So that means they have a true wall which can resist and can survive for many years. So at any adverse condition, they can survive and can able to continue their generation. Okay, this shows that the organisms have now moving on to the development, and they started to develop by themselves and are able to survive even in the adverse conditions. Thereby they can continue their generation even if the conditions are not favorable to them. Got cleared? So once again I'll repeat and let me go to the next topic then. So slime molds, they are comes under the category of kingdom Protista. They are saprophytic. They are saprophytic protist, because they live on dead organic matter and they forms a plasmodium, which is a huge aggregation of mass of cells, and they will cover around several feet. Then when the conditions are not favorable to them, this plasmodium starts to develop the sporangium, and this sporangium will have a spores at the tip, and this spores having the true walls, and it has highly resistant and can survive for many years. Okay, just think, for many years it can survive. Okay, that is how they have developed. This is the how they shows that evolutionary they are getting on developed, and then complete their life cycle by forming the zygote. Zygote undergoes mitosis and produces a new young slime molds. So students, got cleared about the slime molds. So let us move on to the next group, which is also important. You may think that every time she is telling important, so which is not important, right? Yes, don't think about important, non-important. You have to study everything and you have to get knowledge of all the aspects. Don't study for purpose of marks. Okay, if you study for getting the marks, if you're going to study, that will not be permanent. You have to study as if you are going to learn new things, and that has to be applied for your life as well as. Okay. So So next is protozoans. So protozoans, this is one of the large group and which includes many subcategories. Okay, so protozoans, we can say that it is all are heterotrophs. All these group of protozoans are heterotrophs, and in that all are heterotrophs. In that they can behave as predators and parasite. No one single group also in this, no one single individual also cannot synthesize their own food. Either they have to predate on some other organism, or they will live on others organism's body and they will get their food. So completely these protozoans are all are heterotrophs and can live as predators or parasites. Then if you look at their features, no, we can say that they are primitive relatives of animals. Why? Because they, like animals, they becoming getting smarter. Is it? How the phone has turned into a smartphone nowadays? What are the changes it has underwent during that so many versions in the mobile phones? Likewise, this group also getting advanced. Okay, and so we say that almost its feature is similar to the animals. So it is considered as the primitive relatives of animals. They are called as primitive relatives of animals. Now, what are the groups of protozoans? What are the groups of protozoans? How many are there? There are 4 categories are there. What are those 4 categories? One is amoeboid protozoans. Then next one is ciliated protozoans. Then amoeboid protozoans, ciliated protozoans, flagellated protozoans, and sporozoans. Amoeboid, then flagellated protozoans. Next is ciliated protozoans. Then one more is sporozoans. Don't think that this group is very small or it's small tiny groups. You don't know the problems caused by these protozoans. Many of the disease which affects the human population is caused by this group of protozoans. For example, malaria. Once malaria have affected so many people, and people were not aware of that. By the time it was not identified as malaria later, and many people were died of because of malaria. And actually this malaria, later they understood it is caused by this protozoan. Right? You'll be knowing, right? Now we'll start with the studying of one by one. Amoeboid protozoans. What are the features of amoeboid protozoan? What are the features? Amoeboid protozoans, they are free living. They are free living and found in which region they can be seen in that? They can be found in the freshwater, seawater, and as well as in the moist places. Seawater also we can see, in the freshwater also we can see the amoeboid protozoans, and when in the moist places also we can see this moist places also we can see this amoeboid protozoans. And as you know, amoeba, if you heard the word amoeba itself, first thing which may comes to your mind may be, yes, you are correct, it's pseudopodia, right? So likewise here also amoeba which move and capture with the help of this pseudopodia. So how they'll move and capture the prey with the help of their pseudopodia. pseudopodia. So, what are pseudopodia? They are false feet. Pseudo andre false. Pods andre legs. Got it? So, it means that false feet. With the help of pseudopodia, they can capture the prey. They are parasitic. No, we have already understood they are predators or parasites. So somehow they should be able to predate the animal and have to be taken inside. So this is one mechanism found in amoeboid protozoans where they have a pseudopodia which helps in capturing the prey. Okay, so pseudopodia helps in capturing the prey. So pseudopodia found in amoeboid protozoans, which helps in capturing the prey by putting out that false feet. Okay, then some of the marine forms will have a silica shells. Another feature is that exception case. If it is amoeboid protozoan found in the marine, then they will have a silica shells. See, all organisms will not have that. So this silica is very hard and which makes them highly resistible. So marine forms of amoeba will have a silica shells on their surface. Can you find out why that's only the marine forms have the silica shells? Why not the amoeboids, protozoa who are living in other habitat is not having these silica shells? Marine water means you know that it has a high salinity, salt content is more. So to make them protective from their external harsh habitat which is highly saline, they have these silica shells on their surface. And for all this group, there will be a disease will be there which is caused by this particular group. So here one of the example which causes a disease is entamoeba. Okay, so one of the parasite entamoeba. Example for the amoeboid protozoan is a entamoeba. It is a parasite. So this much is about the amoeboid protozoan. Next we'll see about the flagellated protozoans. As the name itself indicates, you can see it has a flagella. So how this flagella helps for them? So have flagella and they will be free living or they can be a parasitic also will be there. So they will have a parasitic forms will have the will cause the disease. Among that some of them are free living. Okay, don't think that flagellated protozoans all are parasites. Some of them are free living. Free living means they will not cause any harm to other. Okay, they are independent. Then parasitic will cause some of the diseases. There will be free living and there will be parasitic. And one of the example which is a parasitic flagellated protozoan and which causes a disease, it is a trypanosoma. Okay, here lot of times I have seen students used to confuse the organisms found in each group. They will mix up each other. So better you yourself make some code words to remember that. So flagellated trypanosoma, amoeboid entamoeba, ciliated, what's a ciliated example? Paramecium, sporozoan plasmodium. So any tricks you can use and remember and code it and keep, so that it will be easy for you to identify and write clearly. Okay, so it will help you. So trypanosoma, what is the disease caused by trypanosoma? It causes sleeping sickness. What it causes? It causes sleeping sickness. Then ciliated. Okay, ciliated protozoans, as the name indicates, okay, it is completely aquatic and will be actively moving. How it can be move very actively? If you have to move very actively in the water,